Let's commence our last session titled Education and Expert Level Exchanges, Opportunities and Challenges. This session explores the dynamics of educational and professional exchanges between Russia and Pakistan. The session aims to uncover the potential opportunities such exchanges present in terms of knowledge transfer, skill development, and cultural understanding. By examining both the opportunities and challenges, the goal is to gain the insights into how education and expert level exchanges can contribute to the strengthening of ties between Russia and Pakistan amid the transforming global order. This session will be moderated by Mr. Rinat. Mr. Raimov is Project Manager at the Gorchakov Public Diplomacy Fund. He is a PhD graduate from the Department of Central Asian and Caucasian Countries, Institute of Asian and African Countries, Moscow State University. Our first guest speaker for this session will be Dr. Irina Serenko. Dr. Irina Serenko is a senior researcher at Center for Middle East Studies, Institute of Oriental Studies of Russian Academy of Sciences, Russia. She holds a PhD in education. Our second guest speaker would be Dr. Andrey Pavlov. Dr. Andrey Pavlov is professor at St. Petersburg University and the chair of Master Program of Strategic and Arms Control Studies at the School of International Relations.
Between our two countries has begun to flourish, and this cooperation has not only enriched the academic landscape, but also made a large contribution to understanding, cultural understanding and collaboration between us. So by now we have notable achievements in the sphere of educational cooperation between Russia and Pakistan, for example, in the establishment of scholarship programs. Joint scholarship programs. Russia has a well-developed state scholarship system for foreign students. We conduct rigorous work with Pakistani universities, and this initiative, of course, have provided ample opportunities for Pakistani students to pursue higher education in Russia and vice versa. So, but anyway, we have some troubles and problems standing on the path of our cooperation in the field of education. So I hope our experts will discuss and will disclose these challenges, and will make some have the privilege of having esteemed experts present with us. So their insights and expertises will guide our discussion and help us explore initiative ways to further enhance educational cooperation between Russia and Pakistan. Extend the floor to a panel of experts, and the first question is a common, and I would like to address it both to Pakistani and to Russian sides. For example, to Ms. Dr. Irina Serenko and Dr. Shabana Fayyaz. How do you think, how successful is the state of current collaboration in the field of education and experts, faculty staff exchange between Russia and Pakistan by now? Could you share your experience and your opinion, please? Dr. Serenko, you're the first.
I think it's, can you hear me? Yeah? Dear hosts, Your Excellencies, scholars, dear scholars, and my friends, all we are gathered together as a friends. And I should share with you my experience on the issue of not only of education cooperation between our countries, but on science cooperation also. It was mentioned today about nuclear cooperation between our two countries, and we should say that human development as well is the most important sphere in which we still are lagging behind. Though practically our moderator said everything about the achievements, but we should add something also from our experience, from our cooperation, from our contacts between Pakistani and Russian sides. From my own experience, I should say that while being in Pakistan 40 years ago, I started my career 40 years ago in Pakistan, working as an interpreter at Pakistani Steel Mill Karachi, which was mentioned already by His Excellency and other speakers. And while working there, it was during the Soviet period of time, and I mentioned that we all have a very memory about our relations between the former Soviet Union and Russia and Pakistan. Why I mentioned all this? Because during my work at Pak Steel, there existed also the training center. So we could say that during that period, though it was tough relations between our countries, we were under other borders due to Afghanistan conflict there. But side says we Russian are very reliable partners in cooperation, and it means that even during that period of time, we worked at steel mill and we finished and put it into operation thanks to our pragmatic relations which prevailed at that time also. And Soviet experts prepared in this training center, which was functioning in Pak Steel, a lot of, experts and professionals in different metallurgical professions. Practically, it is thanks to the Soviet participation, this new industry was founded in Pakistan. And nowadays, if we look at the past, still we do not have such close contacts in this field of preparing technical specialists, experts. But in Russia, we have very qualified teaching staff in this area, and I think that it is necessary to develop it. What is perhaps the main problem? It is not only financial side of the question, though it is also very important. And it seems to me that it is necessary to develop not only on government level our coordination and cooperation in this sphere, education and science. It is necessary also perhaps to use the of Allama Iqbal here in Islamabad. And it is perhaps very symbolic that this Russian center was opened in this very big, the biggest in 5 years. There are 5 biggest open universities in the world, and Pakistani university is one of the oldest one here in South Asia. And the thing is that this center was founded with the assistance of our Ministry of Higher Education and Science, with the help of higher education of Pakistan. And I mean that the university, Ural University, Federal University of Pedagogic, which also is at the beginning of such a brilliant future between our students, between our youth and our youth. It will undermine and underline the foreign relations between our countries. And as for Allama Iqbal, we consider him one of the most important Muslim leaders of the 20th century, and he always cared about the human development. That's why we have much in common between our two countries. We understand that necessary to develop our relations through developing human capital. And what I should say that not long ago, it is last week, we together with my colleague participated in the International Convention. And the title of this convention was Russia, Asia, Science, Culture and Education Contacts. And I should say that 6 countries participated in this convention, and it was made and arranged by the Pedagogical Federal State University in Yekaterinburg. And it is also symbolic that this convent was held at this university, because Yekaterinburg, for you to know, it is the capital of students, and the city now is going to be the third capital of Russia as a capital of students. And in future, they wanted even to be more as a capital, international capital for all students of the world. So let us hope for this. And what I mentioned, I noticed there being at this very, very interesting convention, that there was much attention paid to Pakistan. For the first time, really, believe me, in my 40 years, it was very soundly pronounced Pakistan and big potential of Pakistani youth here. But you see, as to the official data, only 380 students nowadays study in Russia, and 90 of them on Russian scholarships. And of course, for the population of 250 million, they say, it is nothing, practically nothing. In comparison, for example, in another university in Yekaterinburg, only from Egypt, where the population is 100, 10 million people, the same number of students study at this university. And Yekaterinburg, why it is very important? Because it is an industrial hub, we may say. And perhaps you remember that the seventh Intergovernmental Commission, Russian-Pakistan Commission, took part especially in Yekaterinburg. And after this, people found to know about Pakistan, about the richness of Pakistan, I mean, in human capital, in all fields we can communicate with. And as for the regional and our central industrial representatives, they are of the opinion that industry can be developed with the experts and with the specialists in different industrial specialities. For this purpose, of course, it is necessary to develop our relations in education and science. And I think it will be very interesting for you that as for our Institute of Oriental Studies, which is the oldest research institute in this former Soviet Union and in Russia, now we celebrated not long ago 200 years of our foundation. We always, during our international conferences about our meetings with Pakistani side, for example, last year we met with the General Sikandar Afzal from Lahore Chamber, and he is the head of Golden Economic Forum. They met with our staff, with the staff of our leading universities in Moscow, and they gave their recommendations after consultations with us for establishing direct relations between our universities. And I support the opinion of this team, of his team, that it is necessary, of course, to give the knowledge of the Russian language for our students, to develop economic, trade, and industrial relations, and of course, if we take, for example, philosophical ties, because it is not always we need to develop only practical relations for real economy. Real economy is made by people, and that's why it is important. It's historically that Pakistan is oriented on the West and on the English language. But the situation is transforming nowadays, and Eurasian integration I think it is as a trigger for development our scientific and school and cultural education contacts. So I can speak a lot about about the necessity of developing our relations between our two countries. What is also as a hinder of our relations in this sphere, perhaps. I mentioned it is not a good knowledge of the Russian language. But as for the Pakistani students, they are bilingual, practically all of them, at least bilingual, and they have a very good memory. And we spoke about this situation at this Yekaterinburg conference. And I think that it is not a big problem. It may be overcome. And for me to speak a lot, I prefer seeing is believing. That's why I request, please, yes, show video about the session, about the beginning. Between Pakistani students, that this Euro Pedagogical Institute, it is very advanced technologically. They have their own technical park, they have robotic techniques, they have everything. And as for the last, it was mentioned, last intergovernmental commission between Russia and Pakistan, which took place at the beginning of this year in Islamabad. It was very important that a very big group of our leading universities participated in this intergovernmental commission. And it means that we look very seriously at the development of our relations in this sphere of education and science and culture. I should also add one small thing, perhaps for you it will be interesting, that yes, and it was mentioned by His Excellency Kazi Khaliullah, that we celebrate the 75th anniversary of our diplomatic relations. But last year we also celebrated 75 years of Pakistan independence. Yes, it was two great conferences, and with the participation of a high-level Senate delegation, at our Institute of Oriental Studies. It was great, really, because we exchanged our opinions, including the necessity of developing our relations on human level. And your caretaker Anwarul Haq Kakar, together with another senator, Walid Iqbal, also they were moderators at our conference, and it was very fruitful for developing, enhancing our relations. And I hope it may be possible to show some photos from Yekaterinburg also, if it is interesting for you, perhaps.
Very interesting.
So I mean that not only foreign ministers, Ministry of Education, but Senate, all, leading ministries are interested, and of course people-to-people contacts are interested in developing all these relations. And though there are, yes, hindrances and orientation on the West, still we think with the wish and desire it is possible to improve everything. Yeah. And you can see this stand is devoted to our 75th anniversary of Pakistan-Russia establishment relations, diplomatic relations. Yes, it is a special, information for the students to know about it, and practically, though it is some yes, some information is given in English, some information is given in Russian, but I hope that one day it will be given in Urdu also. Yes, this is very, very important. And by the way, do you know that our Institute for Foreign Affairs is in is the leading university or institute in given the most knowledge in different languages. 54 languages are taught at this university, but it's a pity that only 25 students learn the Urdu language there. Though they are in a Guinness Book records, I mean, this institute still I think that the process should be two-sided, both Urdu and English. And by the way, I should say that while we had this great event on our diplomatic relations in May this year, students from ISA University, they recited in Urdu poems of Iqbal. And the authoritative, you see, gathering, when Walid Iqbal, the grandson of Muhammad Iqbal, Allama Muhammad Iqbal, was asked what is his appreciation of this performance. And he stand and said, I do not have any words. I can only applaud to this, you see, great knowledge of the Urdu and the philosophical thoughts of Allama Muhammad Iqbal. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Serenko, for outlining the challenges and directions of our future work in this cooperation. I would like to say that Dr. Serenko is one of few persons in Russia who is a real strong maven of bilateral educational cooperations, and she indeed arranged a grandiose conference devoted to the 75th anniversary of our diplomatic relations. So it was very awesome, and Pakistani senators Walid Iqbal, Pakistani embassy attended. It was a high level. Although
sorry, by the way, your Gorchakov fund also participated and rendered assistance in organizing this conference. Yeah.
Yes, and Dr. Serenko said correctly that this is an important example of our successful cooperation, that we have an open Russian open center. This is a product of partnership of Ural State University and Allama Open University, and I think that work is going on and we should move that way. Thank you, and now we're going to listen to the Pakistani side position. Dr. Shabana, Fayyaz, please, you're welcome.
Yes,
yes.
This one, it's better. It's up to you.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. I hope I am audible. Yes. Well, it's a pleasure to know and learn from such a seasoned person, Dr. Irina, regarding the exposition of Pakistan's major language, that is Urdu, and its reception, and the poet Allama Muhammad Iqbal in Russia. And you have also showed the diplomatic linkages tied up with the anniversary of Pakistan, that is the 75th anniversary being celebrated in Russia. It is a heartwarming, I think, heartfelt, your sentiments. I have great words, rather no words for it. And I must say, now coming to the topic on education, to begin with, I must say that education is not only about the books, whether, as has been rightly said, it is about even the way you walk, the way you talk, and the way your actions and the eyes moves. So it is this. And this is the first time since last night we had a dinner together. I can feel the warmth, I can feel the positivity. And I think that is going to be a beginning of my learning experience with exposure to the Russian delegation. And thanks to the SVI for giving such an opportunity under the leadership of Dr. Naeem Salek. So this is a beginning. Coming to my experience practically, I can say what has been said and written in the books and the chapters a lot. But if I look into the Russian and Pakistan's educational experiences, I feel it's been mostly on scientific and technical and levels. Because I know you must be familiar of the Oil and Gas Development Organization in Pakistan that has a drilling explorations together with the Russians and the knowledge being imparted. So was the steel mill, not only made but also made functional with the expertise given by the Russians. And of course, the defense in the later stage, and also interestingly, the collaboration going at the National Defense Colleges level. Many army officials and the others, strategic people have been going and getting their exposures there, and so is there. Even on the naval front, we see the Russian ship coming, I think, 2 years earlier for the first time, and Pakistan ships have docked there as well. So this is all part of the education. Now coming to the universities on the defense and other sides, I belong to the social sciences. How my image, perception of Russia is built, when I was growing up, it was more of the KGB soldiers. It was more of the image that was built up in the movies. Let's admit it. Now, as I grow up, I matured more into a scholar phase. We started looking into the Russian news channels. I mentioned the RT I follow. And then some documentaries. Then later on the think tanks, the Valdai Forum. Interestingly, it's very difficult. I've come across Russians based outside Russia. But inside, we had very limited exposure, specifically on the social sciences. But I do have an experience of meeting the Russian social scientists on the sidelines of the conferences arranged in Islamabad, in Institute of Regional Studies, in IPRI, and other forums, but not largely at the university sites. So this, I feel the education is about raising the curtains of the knowledge. And that is what I feel Pakistan and Russia since last decades or so, when General Musharraf visited the Russia, and afterwards the phases of engagement started, although it was Zulfikar Ali Bhutto that reached out to Russia first, and the others, but we had that phase. So that set in the momentum of breaking that, or you can say the icebreaker in that term, and having engagements on the academic side. We have a lot of, like you said, but I can feel in my youth at the university level, the people are gravitating towards China and Russia for their education purpose. Specifically, why? Number one, the cost is low. Number two is the familiarity that is getting much. They can relate to the Asian and the Central Asian and others, the background and the memories and the histories. And the third is the viability of the whole degree and the job prospects in Central Asia, in other parts of the world. So this is something very unique that has come out into that. Now, language barrier is one of the biggest barriers. Last night I was told by Dr. Irina that yes, we have a Russian language center. I had researched on that in my data as well, but believe me, I don't know much about it. Let's be honest. And we never, I'm looking forward to host a small Russian language course in Quaid Azam University as we move forward, because I feel, because in our department we have initiated the Chinese language course, but we would love to introduce that, to begin with. Namal has been having a lot of, different language programs there, but I think we need to work on that. Teachers training and the teachers exchange. This is something I think that really requires an extensive efforts on both ends. I think from Pakistan perspective, we as the academia should not be looking only at securing the fellowships in Moscow, Petersburg, and others. Rather, we should be requesting our government to invite their scholars and be housed in our university and teach the course on the Russian history, Russian politics, Russian foreign policy. I think this is what we really need, because it should not be a one-way traffic, and it has to be cleared in Russian mind as me that Pakistan does not want to be on the receiving end as only. We want to be on the giving end. And I think on the education sector, we are capable of that. We are fully confident. And we have the youth that has an urge to learn more about the Russia, Central Asia, and other parts. And we have a very keen researchers on Middle East and on Africa and other parts. I've mentioned you the last couple of 2 or 3 years, I have supervised 2 MPhil theses on Russia, and we have 1 or 2 fellows working on their PhD on Russia these days. So given this background, yes, we have the opportunities, but again, I will say that media can play a great role, so does the digital connectivity. And with the digital connectivity, we can minimize the cost of learning. And I know the physical presence really matters. It gives you another outlook. But you know, given the constraints and given the visa issues and the traveling issues or the language issues, you know, we should also look into the online platform. And that can be a very, very viable, option. And we can have the workshops, and we can even make it a semi-online and the semi-in-person. So that can be an interesting mix of that. And with that, I think we also need to look into creating the knowledge corridors. So it should not be only that the peer-to-peer relationship develop. It should also be that you also attach a researcher with you. Because if it's only at the higher end of the mentoring, I don't know when it gets published, it's always good to train and transfer the knowledge to the next generation. It's only through that you can, make them more promising and make them more productive in the field of research. And media is the most important tool. I would look forward to see the Russian movies with the English on it, or maybe Urdu. You are learning Urdu, so with that, because this is something, and I will also request that maybe you can try some of the Urdu dramas. We have the excellent Urdu dramas that are, one of the Pakistan's highest rated dramas, but these days it has become very sensational as well. So that can be a good learning experience about the culture and the issues. So with this, I won't like to take much time. Maybe in the second round, if you come again, so I'll speak there. Thank you.
Dr. Fayyaz, thank you for your comprehensive report, and you touched a very important problem. This is a language barrier, and you even gave us some program, and as Dr. Serenko emphasized, in Russia also many few students speak Urdu. So Dr. Rizwana Abbasi, you are as a representative of University of Modern Languages. How do you think, what steps are being taken or should take to address the language barriers that may hinder collaborations and mobility opportunities between Russia and Pakistan? Can you share your opinion with us?
So, can you hear me?
Yes.
Is the mic working?
It's a bit low.
Thank you so much. First of all,
Please press button.
Press Karim.
I have pressed on it.
Yes,
Yeah, is it working now? Okay, thank you. First of all, I think I would like to extend my gratitude to SVI and Center for Energy and Security Studies for taking this initiative and organizing this conference so timely. I think, and I personally believe, that there are a lot of avenues to work together on wide-ranging areas, but I think we fail to capitalize in true sense. More so, I would say that considering education sector, education is such a vibrant area that leads to contribute in solidifying relationship between the two countries, extending from political, economic, cultural, to public level diplomacy and so on and so forth. When we talk about existing exchange programs, I think a large number of Pakistani medical students enroll every year in Russian medical colleges, and both the countries, again, I would like to say that fail to capitalize on that by recognizing the potential of this particular corridor. I think Pakistan particularly need to identify and split medical programs, thereby placing our students into Russian medical training centers, So through this, they can actually bring, I would say, scientific learning home. More significantly, I think both the states closely collaborate on the UN-led forums where they share, their understanding and, thoughts on security information, on prevention of arms race in the outer space, and more significantly, I would say, on new and emerging technologies. So I think this kind of, relationship and cooperation need to be transmitted and transcended into, academic domains, thereby building, I would say, linkages at the, through joint research at the scientific, legal, and, political level, through scientists, scholars, and I would say, academicians and experts, so on and so forth. More significantly, Dr. Shabana mentioned, building up, there is need to build up a comprehensive, I would say, knowledge corridor. Under this knowledge corridor, first of all, we need to, seek and need to take initiative at the governmental level. From governmental level, we need to sign MOUs at the universities level and the think tanks level and the medical colleges level, so on and so forth, thereby, initiating scientific training programs and capacity building programs in innovative technological-led, I would say, teaching pedagogies, and of course, I would say, problem-solving futuristic research. More significantly, investing in, I would say, our sponsoring professors and academicians to raise the quality of education by training them at the, Russian institutions would be very crucial. So as Dr. Shabana rightly mentioned, that it should be two-way traffic, and our professors should bring learning lessons home. And research grants need to be, I would say, mobilized in order to build academic, industry, and policy level linkages to address 21st century problems. So research exchange programs, postdoc programs, faculty exchange programs, students exchange programs should be extensively promoted under this particular knowledge corridor. So a Pakistani chair in international relations need to be immediately established in Russia, and similar should be established here in Pakistan. So in turn, I would say that to make the linkages established to students studying in Russia need to further be sustained by building up through the two missions in Russia and Pakistan, establishing alumni bodies which can then interact regularly to further cement these ties between the two countries. So public diplomacy can be promoted using educational linkages. And I would say that in my view, I was in the UK, and when I was based in the UK, I saw and I experienced that how universities take, their lessons to the communities, thereby building, cultural connectivities with the community centers at the public level. So similar sort of, lessons I would carry forward for both these countries, Russia and Pakistan. So visa facilitation process, I would say, is very important in order to enhance and expedite bilateral visits on regular basis. More significantly, you talk about language barriers. Yes, that I see is the fundamental, impediment that impedes, relationship between the two countries. So for this, I think we need to build centers of excellence, both in Russia and Pakistan, as you rightly, Dr. Irina mentioned. And I would say that at NAML, we have a very, I would say, old Russian Studies Department. Under the Russian Studies Department, we not only, teach language. All the professionals and the students, those who travel to Russia, they first come to NAML to, learn language. Beyond language and beside this particular arrangement, I think our Russian department very closely work with Russian Abbasi. One, they every year, and on biannual basis arrange cultural events where they familiarize students with Russian culture and language. And they also have build, capacity building and pedagogy, direct linkages with the Russian universities, and they are doing it on regular basis. So I think NAML could be a good platform to offer these, kind of capacity building linkages, and this can be transcended and transferred across the country here in Pakistan and also in Russia. So I would say that beside language, of course, I would say that the center of excellence that need to be established can transform into knowledge hubs and also, hubs for cultural exchange programs. So both should, focus on establishing and preserving, I think, libraries. Libraries concept is very important. So through shared platform to publish scientific literature globally is needed and need of the time. And through this, we need to promote narratives in areas of common interest. And more so, I would say that to further raise awareness and better understanding of each other's culture and perspective, both the governments seriously need to consider and support the initiatives for translating the work of literature. So fiction and non-fiction need to be, translated into bilateral languages, and that can be placed, in the libraries I'm talking about. So further, I think discussion I'll take forward if you have more time, but I would like to say again, the more important is the bilateral, as Dr. Shabana mentions, we need to open up, digital corridor, and digital knowledge corridor is very important, through which we can organize conferences, seminars, webinars, and training sessions on the daily basis. Gamification courses, data and coding is very important that we can open up for the children, young children, our youth, thereby equipping them, digitally and preparing them for the AI-led digital future. So both countries can undertake, airing of, as she rightly said, TV programs, movies, political documentaries dubbed in local languages. So that will create a lot of interest at the public level, I would say. So language and cultural centers and educational institutions such as, established at Namal could, I would say, be a great way forward, and that actually offers us their sort of framework. So I'll take more questions and answers during the question and interactive session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abbasi. You outlined and you offer us with great certainty a plan on how to move forward in our cooperation. I'm sorry, so I would like to kindly ask you, what is your opinion about financial and logistical aspects of the support? In which way the governments of both countries should support the joint programs, exchanges, and something like that?
Do you want me to respond to this particular question? Yes. First of all, I think I would say that, as I said, that establishing, center of excellence, thereby probably building little bit of infrastructure, and both the countries can, demonstrate their soft power approach by building such sort of, centers of excellence across the countries. But I think universities could be a good, platform and avenues. And more significantly, I would say the grants programs, as I mentioned, where, like this morning, our colleague was mentioning that you have a center that basically offers grants. So the grants need to be mobilized. So both countries need to have some kind of shared understanding, and the higher education commissions of the two countries need to really mobilize grants in order to, facilitate, scientific research projects. And thirdly, exchange programs at the universities level. Universities need to be supported, and universities not only need to, initiate faculty exchange programs, but also at the same time students exchange programs. So quarterly, I would say biannually, and on a yearly basis, the semester exchange program would really help us a lot. And finally, I would say, as I said, that my focus is on literature production and preserving literature in libraries establishment, as I said. So these are the immediate areas where we can mobilize fund in education domain. And then sky is the limit. With the passage of time, more and more scholars interact. They can identify and demonstrate ideas, and ideas that can lead to, open up more corridors for cooperation and sustainable cooperation on the long-term basis. Thank you.
Thank you for your substantial answer. So we talked a lot now about joint educational programs, and it would be interesting to know from inside, view from inside. And Mr. Dr. Pavlov, you are as a head of master's program at St. Petersburg University. It would be interesting to know from you what are the current challenges faced in implementing joint educational programs between Russian and Pakistani universities, and how do you think how can those challenges be overcome?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude for this kind of invitation This is my first visit to Pakistan, and I hope it will not be the last. And thanks a lot, Dr. Salik, for your kind invitation once again. Well, the challenges, I think, are very much common, and they were mentioned already many times, and I also subscribe to everything which my colleagues propose to overcome them. But I would like to concentrate more on what we can do to overcome the challenges right now. We are academics, and I'm academic, and I'm professor at the university. We tend to be very general, very theoretical. But I try to make my presentation and my short intervention very practical. So to overcome my own nature of being theoretical. I outlined for this intervention 3 points, 3 areas where we can cooperate, where we can do something, even with small or no financial or administrative support from the governments or institutions, what we are able to concentrate on immediately in the next year or in the coming months. So my first point is called students, I call them. Students, of course, our investments in students' education is the best long-term investment for our future sustainable relations. And students' exchange is, I think, something we can do, because actually we already have certain opportunities created by Russian and Pakistani governments and some non-governmental organizations. How we can do it? For example, I'm chairing master program called Strategic and Arms Control Studies, and we teach in English. The whole program is in English. It's one of 2 master's programs at my school, School of International Relations, which is taught in English. The first one is very general. It's called International Relations. It's about international relations in general. So we are very much specific. And I found out that this area of study is also of great interest in Pakistan, strategic and arms control studies. And we haven't had any Pakistani students yet, although we discussed it already with our Pakistani colleagues for the last couple of years. As a chair of that program, frankly saying, I will be so happy to see someone from Pakistan to join our program, starting from next year, because we started 1st of September. But we already have a framework for that kind of exchange, because Россотрудничество is a Russian agency for that kind of activity support. Every year they give a number of grants for foreign students to come and study at Russian universities, but the application have to be submitted soon. The deadline is somewhere in February, and our university do the same. So if anyone is interested to learn more, I'm a good contact person. Please don't hesitate to approach me and get my contacts. You can apply for, or anyone, students can apply for this kind of scholarship and study at my program, for example, without paying a fee for that. We also have a system of exchange students with universities with which we have signed agreements on cooperation. So students can come for 1 semester, for example, take any courses they want, including the courses in English, which we offer at our school. And the same Russian students, the same way Russian students can come to Pakistani universities, study there, get some credits, which will be accepted at our university, and maybe our grades we issue would be accepted by the universities in Pakistan. This way, it's even easier to start students' exchange. And of course, I agree 100% that modern technologies, they give us other opportunities of exchange of lectures, for example, for our students. I would be personally happy to give any lectures in this field of my expertise to Pakistani students. And for example, at one of my courses, I also touch the question of Pakistani nuclear strategy, and of course, for our students, it will be more interesting and informing if a Pakistani professor would give that lecture, and online, this is no difficulties to do it today at all. Online courses is another way to teach without students' mobility. For example, we recorded a course on Russia in nuclear arms control in English, which is available online, and it was previously on Coursera platform, but now it's on Open Education. It's a Russian resource, but it's available online, and you can get some credits for that if you pass all the tests, where you can really learn more about Russian approach to, first of all, Russia-US bilateral arms control relations. Okay, second point is publications. For the last couple of days, I received certain very generous offers to contribute publications to Pakistani journals, and I think this is something we really have to do. And I also want to share the opportunities we have, because we publish at School of International Relations St. Petersburg University Review magazine specializing in international affairs, and we really welcome any contributions from Pakistani scholars and academics. And this is a kind of academic review with a broad scope of topics, and this is academic magazine. But of course we have some other, for example, our graduates, they work for a magazine called New Defense Order Strategies, which is published as not academic but very practical oriented magazine. And I contacted them before the departure from Russia, and they said that they are very much interested in learning the opinion of Pakistani colleagues and publishing their articles in that magazine, which is published in Russian, but they translate from English to Russian. And the deputy chief editor told me that recently there was a article on Pakistani nuclear strategy, and that was the most viewed article on their website for a long time. So there was a great interest of that. But they haven't had anyone from Pakistan to contribute it. It was our former students who's working for this magazine who published that article. Exchange of publications, we even didn't know until recently that there are so many interesting publications are available in Pakistan, thanks to the visit of Brigadier Kazmi to our school several years ago. We received a series of publications from Pakistan, and now it's in our library. And we, of course, ourselves are ready to share what we publish in English with our colleagues in Pakistan. And probably the third point is expert and academics dialogue or participation in a broader scope discussions. We host at our school, we host regular academic events, and being a school of international relations, so it's not so much theoretical. We concentrate, of course, we concentrate on some theoretical aspects too, but we concentrate on contemporary affairs mostly. For example, that idea came to my mind just recently being here and discussing with my colleagues all the possibilities. Next April, we will host at our school a big Congress of International Studies with a broad scope of topics to be covered. And still we can propose a kind of a joint panel to organize there with physical or online participation of anyone who wants to join it. It's really open, it's very wide in scale, and even postgraduate students can contribute to that, can join it, etc. This kind of exchange needs to be needs not to be supported by some administrative resources, but people-to-people exchange of information at least. When we organize something, I would be happy to share it, and we jointly can consider how we can benefit from that. And so the same, I think, for you, we just have no kind of a permanent exchange of information, and we have to establish that network, definitely. This is something I actually wanted to say. Some specific issues which can be covered at our school includes not only strategy, arms control, international relations. So if, for example, anyone is interested in learning more about biosecurity, international biosecurity problems, we have a center for international biosecurity studies at my school. So it's not about science mostly, it's about humanities. And different centers of that kind are established at our school. We just need to organize a better exchange of information about all that. And if you consider having some contacts with St. Petersburg University in that field, please, once again, don't hesitate to approach me and take my contact. I will be happy to share that information with you in the future. Thank you.
Dr. Pavlov. Dr. Pavlov touched a point of remote learning in his program, so I would like to address a question to Dr. Fayyaz. Does your university uses remote learning, and could you give us your opinion about how can technology and digital platforms be utilized to facilitate Russian-Pakistani collaborations between educational institutions and for attracting more students from Russia?
So that's the technology barrier. Very rightly you have said online learning, we came to know more about it in Azam University and other public universities during the COVID time, when we had no options and we converted it. And I remember the long meetings and our information cells sector, how they managed, and even we were not used to the Microsoft Teams. That's how we managed, and now every team has been set up. But having said it, so we did manage to do the COVID year. But I must say the COVID year learners are the sleeping ones, because nobody came on the camera, and even my children, they used to do the same, just listening and moving around. So where the online activity is good, but it also gives you a curtain to, you can even sit with a shawl on, or with a tie on and just bit of makeup, and and hairdressing and do the work. So this is a bit of flexibility. I think it depends how you want to make use of the knowledge, how you want to learn. So nobody can force anybody. Like in our case, we have a physical, in Quaid Azam University, the physical classes. Online are very seldom allowed because unfortunately, the mentors also take advantage of that and then they don't show up. And secondly, it is an easy way, you can't track much of the students, what they are doing. So this is one way. But it is cost effective. It can, and with the pandemics and others, we have been very ambitious in launching working on the virtual program, because it is also another mean of income generation and education learning at the same time. Because if you look at the population of a country, the public universities and colleges are very hard pressed to get admission in, because the students normally cannot afford to go to the private institutions. So we have to be innovative in having parallel streams where you can pay for physical and then to the others. So online is a very good option. But I must say, I always say that, there is an issue of what you are imparting online. So specifically relating to the field like arms control, disarmament, nuclear issues, and other security issues, it can become a very big question mark, and on the trainings and others, because sometimes you are doing it from a one country or a one region perspectives. So you can be in trouble even for no reason. So this is one thing that really bothers me. Another thing that really bothers me always is that once you don't have an electricity, everything is gone. And I don't know in Russia what happens, but in case of Pakistan, you cannot trust electricity. In the normal household or the public institution, we don't have a backup. We cannot afford to have a backup. Let's admit, we are going for the solar, but even with the solar, when the electricity is not there, it doesn't work. So the network is not there. So how you are going to have an online? So then another medium is to go by the postal services, like the Allama Iqbal Open University does. You have an education by postal means. So it has to be a mix. The countries like Pakistan, and I think the developing or the middle countries, whatever we want to like, to be us, to be labeled, we need to have a mix of the policies, how we can give benefit and reap the benefit from the proliferation of education facilities that exist. I'm not much aware of the Russian case, but there are a lot of hiccups in case of Pakistan. Once I remember, Facebook was down, and so was the other. People lost a lot of business, and some even thought that the India has attacked. It was a blackout, information blackout, or sometimes so rumor mongers are like that. So it becomes, so my option would always be the physical based education, because the exposure it gives, the training it gives to you, that is immense. And I think that is, one should not be jumping, one should be mixing, but one should not be jumping altogether. Even on the Zoom, you cannot go for more than 30 minutes, and you have to generate another link, and by the time another link comes in, if electricity goes off, everything goes off, or the students will leave the room. So another important point, I may be getting longer, is it is all, we must admit, in our case, that really, it is all Western dependent technology. So what will happen if you are on the other side? Where will be your information corridor gone? So do we really need, with online education, we need to have our own indigenous means of online communication? I think this is something, I must give credit to China. They don't have the Facebook, although the people like there use the VPN, to use, I know the Chinese friends, VPN, and to get into the Facebook and others, but at least the indigenous means of communication that is available to the larger section of the society. And I think this is the area, the technology-driven partners can help Pakistan in that. And Pakistan should not be relying only on importing means of online education mediums. Rather, I think we should be developing our own by learning from the others. I think I should stop here.
Thank you. So our experts covered almost all the crucial questions. So the last question I would like to digress into is a cultural. As Dr. Serenko said, Allama Iqbal sought to provide human development not only through the education but also through the culture, and the culture. Yes, and the culture is inherent part of education. So my question is addressed to Dr. Serenko and Dr. Shabana Fayyaz and Dr. Abbasi. What is your opinion about the role of culture in the education, and how can we provide, what measures we should take to provide cultural and changes and to ameliorate the understanding of each other through the culture. So please, Dr. Serenko, you're the first.
Thank you very much for this question. I should say that perhaps I did not mention it in my presentation, but at our Institute of Oriental Studies, there is a cultural center for the Eastern culture. And nowadays it was opened practically 1 year ago, yeah. And in this center, we often present such exhibitions, some countries' information with the participation of students and other organizations, our Russian publicity, our Pakistani embassy also in Russia participate in these events. I just mentioned perhaps one of this event concerning our Pakistan-Russia relations. Last year, there was a presentation of Faiz Ahmad Faiz translation from Urdu into Russian, and it was a joint project between Russia and Pakistan, and the ambassador of Pakistan, Shafkat Ali Khan, participated in this event, and he even said that Faiz Ahmad Faiz was a cultural diplomat and ambassador between our two countries. And what I should mention also, if you take, for example, Faiz Ahmad Faiz and Chingiz Aytmatov, it is a very, very popular Soviet and Kyrgyz writer. And a bit about our social-cultural, you see, common shared memory. These two persons, they were great friends between each other. And they even wanted to arrange a joint film on yes, but it's a pity they did not have enough time. Several times, I mean that Chingiz Aytmatov and Faiz Ahmad Faiz, they've traveled together around the former Soviet Union, Central Asian republics, and not long ago I visited Kyrgyzstan. And I presented this book to Kyrgyz Minister of Education. And they were impressed that Faiz Ahmad Faiz was translated into Russian from Urdu, from English even, and it was a unique gathering of this culture, Pakistani culture. You know that Faiz Ahmad Faiz was one of the leading person in uniting people of Russia and the former Soviet Union. And the interpreter, his interpreter, Lyudmila Vasilyeva, she is our leading scholar at the Institute of Oriental Studies who arranged these translations. And by the way, she is the leading Urdu knowledge person among international community. Yes, there was competition, and by the way, she has also Government of Pakistan awards. This is for the exchange, literary exchange. And we mentioned a lot of digital and so on instruments for education, spreading, but we forgot radio. Radio. It's so simple, and radio, it can cover all the areas of Pakistan, for example, and we had an experience in radio. In Russia, we had Urdu speaking radio Moscow. And Lyudmila Vasilieva and some other our experts in Urdu, they communicate with big publicity of Pakistan. It's a pity that this radio was closed in 90s, it seems to me. But it seems to me that necessary to once again to open this corridor, radio corridor for expansion of knowledge about Russia in Urdu. In Urdu, it's very important that it was arranged in Urdu, because it was close to practically all people. And still, up till now, our leading professors, they have contacts with those who were fans of this radio. That's why, I mean, we should not forget about simple means, which do not need energy and electricity, and it's a kind of also people-to-people contacts. And as for the exchange of our publications, I have a very pleasant mission today to show this one book, Pakistan, History and Modern Problems. It was also a joint project between Russia and Pakistan, and it was devoted to the 70th anniversary of Pakistan Foundation. And here you can find the honorable speech of His Excellency Qazi Khaliullah and some other Pakistani scholars, Javed Akhtar, he left somewhere, but the director of Pakistan House and some other, Walid Iqbal, also participated in this conference and has his article here. So I have a very pleasant mission, and I hope that Dr. Nalin Saik, you please are welcome here, just for me to present this publication for your library and for your students and the scholars. So I think that we should use options, not only modern options, but not to forget the practical steps we had in the past. So if any questions, I can answer.
Yeah.
Dear experts, thank you for your strong reports. If you don't mind, as we have a limited time, we will start a Q&A session. So, dear visitors, dear participants, please call your question and please call a name of the expert whom you want to ask the question, please. You're welcome. Wait for a microphone. Thank you.
It was really very interesting to listen to all your comments. I think you have covered almost everything. I, as a teacher of the Russian language for the last 30 years, I would like to comment that teaching has its intricacies of the complex language it is, but the most important thing for me has been to teach what Russians are to my students. And unfortunately, still the people don't know the positive side of Russians as nation, as people, their fears, their aspirations, their love, their enmity, or things like that. And in this, I think the shortcoming, I would say, from the Russian side also, because in the 70s, I had read the Urdu translation of the Russian folk tales, which was by the Progress Izdatelstva. And then these things stopped. I had read the story Kostachka when I was about 6-7 years old, But now the 7, 8-year-old Pakistani does not know of any Russian short story, Russian folk tale. So what I would like to suggest that instead of again starting the wheel, I'm sure these books are there. We need to reproduce them and send them to Pakistan so that the students at the school level get acquainted with the great Russian literature. The story of Kostachka, Tolstoy, which I teach to my students, I have that in my memory. That was a beautifully done drawing with a pencil. I don't know if that book still exists, but if it does, I request you people to find that book, reprint it, and send it here. And what I would like to say also, I was part of this historical event of opening of the Ural State Pedagogical Center. It was done in 2 days. It is historical because I feel this is the foundation to start a bigger collaboration. What the Pakistani side needs is to train the teachers. We need to have a pedagogical university over here. And again, I will request that you people, the scholars who are sitting there, they can help that. We need trained teachers, not only in language, in science, in technology, and you are the pioneers. I think you have the most pedagogical universities in Russia than anywhere in the world. So why not to use this knowledge of yours? And there is one more proposal. And the chairman of the Board of Intermediate and Secondary Education, he is fully into it. He said that we can start a module of Russian at school level. And I think introducing our children to the Russian language would be a great opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your very profound statement. Maybe some of experts want to give some commentary. Please.
Hello, Dr. Ateek, a university professor, and I'm very glad to hear the future plans of both nations in the field of academic collaboration. But I'm always found myself very much confused when I try to identify why the disconnects are very visible between the academic community of Russia and Pakistan. So the both communities are at the same time very much ambitious to have the collaboration, but predominantly they are very much reluctant as well. So would you like to identify why this confusion prevailed in both sides? And now, are the governments from both sides realize that they are going to depart from this conventional approach? Thank you.
Answer the first question. Of course, we will try to convey your proposals for publishing for children interesting books, which are so deep in your memory. And I imagine that it will be also the same with the new generation. So we will try to do it. And I also want to add that it is not only for children, but sometimes for high-ranking people. They do know nothing about practically Russia. If we take, for example, your caretaker, Anwar Kakar, he twice visited, thanks to our invitations, Russia, St. Petersburg, Moscow, and while performing his speech, of an honorable speaker, he said, imagine, I usually visited only to the Western countries, and while coming to Russia, I was hypnotized by Russia, and I love Russia, and seeing is believing, of course. That's why I mean that all these contacts through books, through people-to-people contacts is very, very important, because people change their mind about the country. They practically knew only from the Western media, and it is very, very important. So I think that there is a necessity to enhance our relations in science, culture, and education. because all this triunity will help us to be closer towards each other. And even I remember that Anwarul Haqqaqar told us that he imagined Russia belonging to the Asia family, one Asian family, because we have a very close, you see, traditions, and it is very important. And while meeting with our President Putin, which was mentioned, so the international forum, he also said that while visiting Russia as a senator, he understands that Russia is the country, great Russia, which, with which Pakistan should develop their relations. So thank you.
Of course.
Excuse me, I have a few suggestions actually. My friends will drag me down, but I'll start from the baseline. What baseline do we have? The baseline, we don't have any baseline between Pakistan and Russia about this education program and stuff. And if it is there, you know, then something is there, but not everything is there. So which gives us a chance to do more, to organize a lot of things. I am an experienced project manager, and I have lived my life about 35, 40 years in the US. And the programs they have, I would like to share a little bit with you for the education stuff. And I would also like to tell you that I am a little more knowledgeable about Russia because I used to read the classics, Anna Karenina, Brother Karimov, you know, Dostoevsky, I think his name was, and then, you know, War and Peace. And one of the character in War and Peace, I wanted to name my daughter that, but I could not. Anyway, so since we have a wide open field, there is so much one can do. One of the programs which started between US and Mexico was for the Mexican kids to learn English and the American kids to learn Spanish. So what they did was they employed retired people, bilingual retired people who are living in government houses or, you know, some retirement houses. And they created two companies on each side of the border. They would coordinate who wants to learn what, and online, you know, the people who are living in retirement houses, they are bored. They want to meet with youngsters, they want to meet with all those people. So this gave them energy to teach them the actual language, the cultural language, rather than the bookish language on both sides of the border. One was that. The other thing was, within the universities, the exchange students which used to come, whether they are from Iceland or whether they are from any place else, they were deputed, they were given a stipend, and in the evening, or according to the timing, they will go online and teach anybody on the other side. Like somebody in Russia knows English and Russian, and I here knows Urdu and Russian or Urdu or English, I would teach the other language to the other side, and they teach the other side. So you can devise many things. As far as the cultural programs are concerned, I remember when I was young, there used to be a lot of troops coming from different countries, cultural, from China, from Korea, even from Russia. You know, they will have a lot of cultural programs, singing, dancing, and all this, you know, stuff. Doesn't exist anymore. Either we have, I don't want to go in that direction, but any which way. When you start developing young people's mind, they are your investment for the future. People like me, I am 71, turning 72 in March. I cannot learn Russian. but I can help, keeping in view my profession, to organize this thing, and I can extend my, message into the gentleman sitting over there, Salik, Brigadier Salik. We know each other for over 50 years. So all of this, there is a vast field one can do. All of that, what I have heard, can be, you are a project manager. You and I can sit and we can design certain things. Radio, to be very frank, radio in Pakistan, the only radio people listen, when you were talking about radio, I know you were talking about AM band, not FM band.
I think we have picked his question up, so.
Yes.
Okay.
And all of that, it can be done, but why don't you go a step ahead and use a television, which can attract people? We have Arabic learning programs, so instead of Arabic, have Russian. I mean, there's a whole lot of things. It's a big arena which everything can be done. Okay, sorry, my time is up. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, I think I would like to say that again, on 2 points, Atiq, I'll get back to you as well. So I think Center of Excellence, I talked about universities and then community centers. These need to be connected deeply. And again, festivals are very important for both the countries. We need to celebrate each other's festivals in each other's countries. And then, of course, literature, history, art, handicrafts, these need to be transferred from one country to another and need to be then displayed at the public level. And that's how we promote effective public diplomacy. Iqbal's philosophy and Iqbal's philosophical thought lays down our strategic thought, actually. So that is globally relevant somewhat. So I think establishment of Iqbal Chair in Russia would probably, again, should be a part of that center of excellence that can offer learning lesson for both the countries. And at some point, I think Atiq raised a very controversial and difficult question. I think that Pakistan's policy throughout foreign policy remained mostly Western-centric. I think the world is changing. There are no permanent foes and friends in the international affairs. And the best policy is the policy that is based on balancing act. So Pakistan realizes that, and I think I would say that our policy based on balancing act, renewed ground and renewed trust that the two countries lay down should not be, I would say, distracted in the future. We are not building this trust to hurt aspiration of the third, state entity. So this should be consolidated so deep that if fluctuation occurs at the political level, should not impede, the ground that we are going ahead to lay down at the, diaspora, public, and the academic level. So the progress and the, growth of this sort of, bilateral understanding, shared understanding should sustain so deep that we can actually then transcend message to the political community that this is how we actually take the legacy forward by maintaining balancing relationship with all the countries globally. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to express gratitude to as the experts and to participants for your active participation and for your attendance here. Me as and the Gorchakov Fund keep on doing our cultural and educational exchange programs from our side to promote our bilateral cooperation. We have many plans, and I hope the Strategic Vision Institute will assist us in it. And I agree that we need to everybody from his own side need to promote this education and including language, reducing some language barrier. It is very important, and I think we should keep on doing in this field. Thank you everyone for this session. It was magnificent. Thank you.
Thank you so much all the speaker and participant for their valuable remarks. Now I would request Dr. Naeem Salik, EDSVI, to present souvenir to the speakers of the last session. I would first request Dr. Irina Serenko to kindly receive her souvenir. I would now request Dr. Andrey Pavlov to kindly receive his souvenir. I would request Ms. Dr. Shabana Fayyaz to kindly receive her souvenir. I would request Dr. Rizwana Abbasi to kindly receive her souvenir. And lastly, I would request Mr. Rinat Raimov to kindly receive his souvenir. With this, we conclude our last session. I would thank all the speakers and participants for their valuable insights. It is a humble reminder that tomorrow's session would start at 2 p.m. sharp. We eagerly anticipate your continued engagement in tomorrow's session as well. You may proceed for the tea being served at the back of the hall. Thank you so much.